cross on for Leach. He's in. Nick Leach has scored for Rovers. Can he get it? O'Connor. Yes, it's there. O'Connor has scored.
To the far post. An easy one for Roddy Collins. And Crowe has put it beyond doubt now. Roddy Collins just can't believe it. Look, 4-1 down to 6-4 up. The header for Quinn. What the turnaround. 2 goals in a minute.
Bohemians against Shamrock Rovers. Dalymount Park buzzing, and we're expecting.
Fresh and raring to go after the international break. What a way for these Bohemians players to get the next phase of the season underway. A home tie against their greatest rivals is just the fixture for Bohs to reignite their quest for European football next season, having slipped out of the top 3 before the break. Shamrock Rovers are already looking forward to the imminent start of their continental competition, but for now, in the league, it's a matter of maintaining their position at the top of the Premier Division, and for Stephen Bradley, a case of managing his significant playing resources with a busy schedule on the horizon. Live from Dalymount Park, it's Bohemians against league leaders Shamrock Rovers, kick-off at 7:45. A full programme of fixtures in the Premier Division tonight. Derry City and Cork City meet at the Ryan McBride Brandywell. Drogheda United host neighbours Dundalk. It's Pats versus Shells at Richmond Park, while UCD are at home to Sligo Rovers. A reminder now of how the table stands. Shamrock Rovers with a 6-point advantage over Derry City. Pats won 4 on the trot before losing in Drogheda just before the break. They're third, a point ahead of Bohemians in 4th position. And looking as fresh as the day they hung up their boots, Alan Cawley and Stuart Byrne are with me for tonight's derby. A huge match it is. First of all, Stuart, the timing of the international break, probably it was better for Bohemians given the fact that they had only won 1 out of the previous 7 matches, so they probably needed a bit of time to reset.
Yeah, when you consider the start of the season they had, Peter, they got off to an absolute flyer, playing some wonderful football, kind of surged ahead, 7-point gap at one stage, and then the season to now has been a tale of 2 halves for them. Like you rightly said, since they've actually played Rovers away in Tallaght, again they should have gotten a result out of. Probably feel hard done by. Their form has been very poor, and I would imagine Declan has spent the last couple of weeks trying to get his team to start this phase now the way they started the season. Yeah,
Shamrock Rovers have had the upper hand in both games. Well, they've come out on the right end of 2-0 results on both occasions, but in fairness, Bohemians definitely gave them a good game at Tallaght last time out.
Yeah, the first night here back in April, Peter, I thought both started really well the first 15 minutes, but once Shamrock Rovers got a foothold in that game, they stamped their class all over it and ran out easy winners. You're right, the game in Tallaght we covered a few weeks back, Bohemians were very, very good on the night, played well. They were very unlucky with a controversial refereeing decision, and that would have made it 1-1, but they've certainly felt hard done by that, and they gave them a real game. If they can carry that progress into tonight's game, they'll feel as though they can get something out of it, but their home form, Peter, hasn't been great. They've played 9 at home, they've lost 3, whereas Shamrock Rovers away from home, out of the 10 they've played, they've only lost 1, and that was when they were down to 8 men. So it's hard to see a Bohemians win, but I definitely think they can cause Shamrock Rovers problems.
Yeah, they can. It's certainly fair to say that both fixtures between these clubs so far in the league this season have been competitive, and we hope for likewise this evening. Now let's get the all-important team news. Let's join Tony.
Thanks very much indeed, Peter. Yes, and it's good to be back from that short international break. And just before the break, Bohemians did manage a draw up in Derry, came back from there with a point, and they'll feel they could have had 3 as well. So they only make 1 change, and Jonathan Afolabi comes into the side in place of Declan McDade, and it's quite the attacking lineup from Bohemians as well, attacking players the likes of Kudanak and Tunde there as well. But at the back, they've got those Polish pillars, Radkowski and Novak, so they'll be hoping not to concede at least and get something out of this game for the first time against Shamrock Rovers. Shamrock Rovers side, who are in the lead, of course, they make 3 changes. Their last game was the 4-0 win against UCD. Cleary, Watson, Gaffney come in for Hoare, O'Neill and Green, and they've had 2 players away on international duty, Lopez and Poom, but they're good enough to start. And let me just tell you about a special night here tonight as well, because the Bohemians jersey has the great Aslan, one of Northside Dublin's finest bands, on the shirt tonight, and that's because, of course, we lost the great Christy Dignam, a music legend. You can see on the back of the shirt here Christy himself, and all proceeds, and they've already raised 60,000 all proceeds on the sales of this shirt, and a collection here will be going to St. Francis Hospice. So Christy loves Bohs. He was also a Shamrock Rovers fan, I'm told. Fair play to him if he could do that. Back to the football. A short time ago I got the views of both managers, Bradley from Shamrock Rovers, Stephen Bradley, but first Declan Devine of Derry.
Ultimately it's about points in this league. We want to just get something from the game tonight. We want to try and win the game. We've set up very attacking with Akintunde, Ali Coot, Afolabi and Adam McDonald. So it's a bit mad to think, like, we've only played them 4 or 5 weeks ago, and yet again we're back around third time before the next transfer window. But ultimately it's about points, and we certainly want to try and get 3 points here tonight.
In terms of your selection tonight, were you thinking about Monday's game in particular though?
We have a few knocks, to be fair. Gary picked up a knock during the week. Trevor will be out for a few weeks. But like I said, we always use the squad when we have 3 games in the week, and we'll definitely do that over the course of the week.
On commentary for you this evening, Adrian Eames and Lisa Fallon.
Good evening, Peter. Good evening, everyone. Well, when these two sides met in Tala at the start of last month, Bohs held a 4-point lead on the hoops at the top of the table. How quickly things can change in football. Now Shamrock Rovers visit Dalymount Park with a 6-point buffer on the pack, with Bohs now trailing their great rivals by 8 points, albeit Bohs have played a game less. It's a marvellous setting on the north side of Dublin for the meeting, the latest instalment of this great rivalry, Bohemians and Shamrock Rovers. And plenty of Shamrock Rovers fans have made the trip from south side to north side. Here's the Bohemians team. James Talbot has 8 clean sheets, has been ever-present between the sticks for Bohs this season. And in front of him, Kasper Ratkaski has also played every minute of the campaign to date. The goals dried up for Declan Devine's side before the summer interlude. Just 1 in their last 4 league games. Ali Coot is their top scorer with 5 goals. And for Shamrock Rovers, well, Leon Poles continues in goal in the absence of Alan Manas. Roberto Lopez was away on international duty, and it was a good trip for him with Cape Verde. He played the full game against Burkina Faso, a 3-1 win, which secured qualification to the African Cup of Nations finals in January. Marcus Plume also in action for Estonia at international level during the course of the break. Ronan Finn gets the voted right wing back, and Dylan Watts makes his first appearance since the 2-2 draw with Shelburne in April. Well, amidst the smoke, the flares have been let off. Stephen Bradley and his opposite counterparts exchanging pleasantries. Not too many pleasantries, one would imagine, will be dished out this evening. It's always a keenly fought rivalry, this one, of course. This is the 405th meeting of Bohemians and Shamrock Rovers. And before kick-off, well, we're going to remember the late, great Christy Dignam from Aslan, a proud Northsider from Finglas, both honouring his memory tonight wearing that one-off jersey, which we saw a few moments ago. And members of Christy's family here tonight. And before kick-off, we'll also recall Ronnie Nolan, a legend for Shamrock Rovers. He passed away this week, aged 89. He joined Shamrock Rovers in 1952 and went on to win 4 league titles, 6 FAI Cups with the club. And not just Shamrock Rovers, he also played for Bohemians. Came to Dalymount Park in the 70s. He was assistant manager to Sean Thomas, and he won an FAI Cup with Bohs in 1970. Also, of course, won 10 international caps with the Republic of Ireland. And also been recalled tonight, Joe Delaney, former FAI treasurer, who passed away sadly this week, and young Billy Rocket, a young Waterford fan. Our sympathies go to all the families involved. So before kick-off, in the smoky atmosphere that prevails at Dalymount Park, those who sadly lost their lives will be remembered here with a minute's applause before kick-off. It really is a lovely gesture on the part of Bohemians, that Aslan jersey. All the profits will go to St. Francis Hospice, who do so much good work.
For the late Christy Dickman, sadly passed away recently. Also ex-Rovers and ex-Bohs player Ronnie Nolan, who played with Rovers in the 60s and Bohs in the 70s. And also 13-year-old Billy Rocket, a young lad from Waterford who'd actually died in a car crash recently, sadly. And finally, Joe Delaney, former FAI treasurer. Please, on the referee's whistle, a minute's silence. Thank you.
we're all set. Lisa Fallon is alongside me. Lisa, licking your lips in anticipation, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. The atmosphere is really, really electric. A lot of emotion in the ground, particularly with the passing of Christy Dignam and the tributes that have been paid by Bohs. But, you know, an absolutely cracking game, a brilliant game that both clubs, you know, when you go away for that summer break, it can sometimes come and break your momentum. Sometimes it can come at the right time and give you that break that you need just to refresh, recharge, get some knocks sorted out and get your squads back up and running. But you always have that eye on the first game back, and for both sets of teams here, they will have had their eye on this game, as have the rest of us.
Yeah, well, it probably came the break at the right time for Bohemians, who'd been wobbling just before they headed off on the break. Shamrock Rovers, they were building up some momentum when the holidays came. They had lost 2 in a row against Drogheda, and then that controversial defeat down in Cork when they had 3 players red carded, but they then bounced back with real title credentials on parade, with 3 wins in a row against Dundalk, Sligo Rovers away, and at Tala last time out against UCD. So it'll be Bohemians to get us underway, and they do so, playing from left to right in the first half, and an early touch for Ali Koosh, who tries to slip around Neil Farrugia. Neil Farrugia at the left wing back for Shamrock Rovers this evening, with Ronan Finn on the opposite flank. No Gary O'Neill in the centre of midfield for Shamrock Rovers this evening. The midfield enforcer, he's facing a short spell on the sidelines, and also that Trevor Clark, who was player of the match in Tala just a few weeks ago. The sides met in April, May, and now June. I guess you can't get enough of a good thing. A 2-0 win here for Shamrock Rovers in April, and then a 2-0 victory on their home soil at the start of May. How will this one pan out? Here's Afolabi. It's quite a positive attacking lineup made by Declan Devine this evening for this assignment against Shamrock Rovers, including Afolabi and James Akintunde.
And you think about the real depth that Shamrock Rovers have in their squad, Adrian. You know, they have Alan Manis, their first choice goalkeeper, out. Gary O'Neill, as you said, Trevor Clark, Aaron Green. You know, big players for this team, all of them regular first team starters, and still the quality of the starting 11 that they can put out, and still the quality they have on the bench.
Here's Graham Burke. Burke with 7 league goals this evening. That's a rather loose one, and Roberto Lopez had to be really sharp to get there ahead of James Akintunde. Here's Cleary now for Shamrock Rovers, and they send it long just to test out Rutkowski, and Rutkowski, the pole, playing alongside Christian Novak, deals with that early tester. And Shamrock Rovers went long early. Cleary once again. On from Watts to Jack Byrne. And now Poom. Farrugia available on this near side. Take on Grant Horton. Tries to deliver the cross, but Horton defended that situation well.
Yeah, and from a defensive point of view, you know, that first contact, that first touch that you get in the game is so important. Win your first challenge, block the first ball.
And it will be Jack Byrne to take this first set piece of the evening for Shamrock Rovers. Byrne, who's got 4 league goals to his name. One in each of the preceding 4 months, in March, April, May and June. And we'd love to see out June with another goal. So early stages at Dalymount Park. First corner kick of the evening for Shamrock Rovers, and it's Jack Byrne to take. Neil Doyle has to go in and sort out 1 or 2 things. Jordan Flores and Rory Gaffney getting a little too close and personal. Jack Byrne now to swing it in. He'll give that little shimmy before he delivers. Right-footed, it's a decent ball in, but well defended by Afolabi. Firmly heads away. Retreat by Dylan Watts. Here's Jack Byrne. Graham Burke down the line. Twisting and turning away from Adam McDonnell. Oh, that's loose from Horton, gifting possession back to Jack Byrne. Byrne's attempt across is charged down by the tigerish Keith Buckley, the captain of Bohemians. And Shamrock Rovers is knocking the ball around very confidently early on. Paddy Kirk with the defensive header away. Early stages, but Bohs being penned back here by their Southside rivals. Poom all the way back to Roberto Lopez, who, as we mentioned, will be heading off with Cape Verde to the Cup of Nations finals, which take place next January in Ivory Coast. Forward from Lee Grace. Declan Devine, and the Bows fans appeal for the free kick, and they get the whistle they were desiring from Neil Doyle.
Yeah, and a fast start to the game, exactly what you expect. You know, Shamrock Rovers moving the ball around nice and quick, trying to see can they open up any little gaps in the Bohemians' structure. You know, they're sitting quite deep, but you can see as soon as the Shamrock Rovers player gets on the ball, the next player, Bows are very, very quick. They're getting to those balls nice and quick.
Well, Horton sent it long, but well, that's meat and drink, and it's gathered by Leon Poles, the 26-year-old German who's making his 10th league appearance. Alan Manas is still out injured, but he's on the recovery trail. The splint was taken off that damaged finger during the course of the week, so it's all about rehab now for Alan Manas in terms of getting back fit and available. Here's Farrugia charging forward, Ali Coote tracking the run all the way. Rory Gaffney in support, still Farrugia. It's a great run by Neil Farrugia, trying to work it through for Jack Byrne. And Paddy Kirk comes away with it for the home side. Afolabi suggesting he was being fouled there, and Neil Doyle concurs, and it's a free kick for the Gypsies.
Yeah, and you can see from that initial build-up from Leon Poles, Bows were pressed really, really high up the pitch, but Ali Coote just was a little bit too high, and Neil Farrugia very switched on, created the little angle, dropped in a little deeper, and he was able to get out, and Ali Coote was on the back foot the whole way back trying to track him, and Bows will need to watch that.
Horton looking for Afolabi. That's a right old tussle there with Roberto Lopez. Forward from Farrugia, Jack Byrne trying to seek out Gaffney, and first time from Dylan Watts, but too much weight on that through ball from Dylan Watts, and it drifts out of play. Horton. Christian Novak. And again, they go long early. Afolabi making a real nuisance of himself. And there's a real physical presence in the match a few weeks ago at the start of May at Tallaght Stadium. Had that penalty shot waved away as the hoops threaten once again. Graham Burke trying to slide it through for Farrugia. Flores. That's a disappointing ball, and Gaffney will see it out of play for a Shamrock Rovers throw-in. Certainly Bohemians were left smarting after that defeat in Tallaght just a few weeks ago, that 2-0 loss. Huge moment in that fixture when Afolabi went down under Dan Cleary's challenge. The penalty shot which was dismissed. It was 1-0 to the hoops at the time. Rory Gaffney then added to Trevor Clark's opener, and 2-0. And you recall that Declan Devine was absolutely furious with the referee. He described it as a stonewall penalty that wasn't awarded.
And Declan's really stamped his claim on this Bohemians team since he's come in. You know, he wants his team to dominate games. He wants them to be in the ascendancy, especially at Dalymount Park. And, you know, they probably surprised a lot of people with the start they had to the league campaign this year. You know, the question is now, what can they make of, you know, the platform that they started off with? Can they use that now to really push on?
Yeah, whirlwind start made by Bohemians, taking 18 points from their opening 21 available from start. Although he continuously suggested that expectations need to be tempered. It's a new group, he remarked, as Ali Coote tries to deliver the cross. And Poom manages to get a block on it.
But it does. It takes a while for a new group to settle, even though they had the start that they did. You know, you'll start to pick up injuries, get suspensions, the changes that'll have to happen in the team through, and you'll have to go into your squad, and that's when the real depth becomes so important. But, you know, both have been a real team that's building, and, you know, it was interesting to hear him this week talking about he hoped his players were watching the European draws this week and making sure that, you know, that's something they want to set as a target for themselves and achieve and get themselves there for next season.
Well, this isn't the only derby that's on tonight. The Loud derby is taking place at Weavers Park, and Drogheda have made an early breakthrough there. Adam Foley on target, so it's Drogheda United 1, Dundalk 0. Here's Afolabi trying to get turned here. Very fleet of foot there from Afolabi, and eventually it's cleared downfield by Dylan Watts.
Yeah, clever little quick kick being taken there, but Lee Grace was wise to it, straight in, but nice and close and tight to Afolabi, making sure he didn't have that space he wanted to turn.
Novak for Horton, and Buckley back from his stint in Australia for another run at things with Bohemians. He's such a key player for them and such a fan's favourite as well. Adam McDonald losing out in the air forward by Flores. And Cleary will see it back to safety. Akintunde drifting into a central position, and that's a really good out ball to pick out Grant Horton. Coot down the line, early ball in, Adam McDonald arriving, oh, right across the face of goal. In the 10th minute, early chance for Bohemians. Adam McDonald, who's back 3 league goals, almost a fourth there.
Yeah, and it all came from that really, really clever switch of play out to Horton, who's completely free, gets a great ball in, and what a chance.
Well, that's got the crowd going at Dalymount Park. Certainly the Bows contingent. Big crowd here as Rory Gaffney drives forward. Backed up here by Neil Ferrugia. Here's Poom, who had started that game against Belgium during the course of the week. Estonia beaten by 3-0 by the Belgians in Tallinn. Oh, that's loose from Flores. Opportunity for Ronan Finn. And the opportunity goes a begging for Shamrock Rovers, but really careless from Jordan Flores, gifting possession to Ronan Finn. All a bit frantic at the moment. Here's Jack Byrne picking up the pieces. Watts available. Forward by Poom for Graham Burke. This is good from Shamrock Rovers. Now Ferrugia, can he deliver here? Hangs it up towards the back post, and Akintunde all alone there. There's plenty of time to get the ball under control, but he needs to be careful. And eventually the ball just squirts behind, and it'll be a goal kick.
Yeah, really, really fast pace, and you know, the pace that both teams are playing at is almost forcing a couple of errors because they're not taking that extra little touch or that extra little time just to be sure of the pass. But Flores needs to be very careful. That's the second time he's played a loose ball inside, and you know, you can't do that in there, particularly when you've got the likes of Graham Burke and Jack Byrne sitting in that top end of the midfield for Shamrock Rovers.
Well, the Bows fans feeling that Jonathan Nuffalabi was being fouled there, but Dan Cleary has possession for the hoops. Dylan Watts drops in to receive. And Cleary back to his goalkeeper. And pulls, gives that one plenty of height. Jack Byrne and Gaffney. Gaffney, who was this week named the SSE Electricity League Player of the Year for 2022 at the FEI Awards on Tuesday evening at the Mansion House. Here's Jack Byrne, Cleary free. Finn down the line, but Cleary checks back. Lopez. And the hoops start to build and probe once again with Lee Grace. Roberto Lopez. And Finn playing in his 36th Shamrock Rovers Bohemians derby. Quite a run. Cleary back to Lopez. Grace in space.
It's really interesting, Adrian. You can see that as soon as Rovers are trying to build a play, both Jordan Flores and Keith Buckley are screaming at their back four to come up and step up.
Well, space here for Graham Burke. And helped on by Poom for Ronan Finn. And Finn cutting inside. Still Ronan Finn trying to slide it through in the direction, the general direction of Rory Gaffney. And now Bohemians on the break. Adam McDonald goes down. And referee allows play to continue. Ferrugia. All a bit helter-skelter at the moment, but Flores does really well to feed it wide for Akintunde, and now Paddy Kirk gets on it. Well recovered by Poom. Now Gaffney. An opportunity for Gaffney to run at Radkowski. Checks inside Rory Gaffney. And firmly headed away. Good defensive header by Keith Buckley, the midfielder getting back. And now Shamrock Rovers taking a grip once again. Poom for Byrne. Closed down by Ali Coote on this near side. And Bohemians just sitting in as Shamrock Rovers have possession once again. Dylan Watts being hustled and harried by Ali Coote. Watts again. Grace. Perugia picked out by Poom.
But again, just as I was saying earlier, you can see Keith Buckley and Jordan Flores protecting that space right in front of the back four. They don't want to give up any space in front of their two central defenders, which is where Jack Byrne wants to go, and same with Graham Burke. They're really disciplined, making sure that their back four is stepping up all the time whenever they initiate the press from the front players or the wide players, to make sure that they never allow that space to open up.
Clearance made by Kasper Radkowski, the Pole who previously played with Śląsk Wrocław in his native Poland, playing alongside Christian Nowak, who cut his teeth at Łucja Łódź in Poland. As Finn tries to prize an opening. Cleary's cross, a lot of depth on it, but it'll run here for Perugia, and the ball just skipped away from him. Miscontrol by Neil Perugia, who offers so much pace for Shamrock Rovers down their left-hand side. Forward by Lopez, expertly brought under control by Graham Burke. Both very quick to win it back. And they toss it forward early, this time Jordan Flores.
It's a cheap cough up of possession there, though. You know, after you win it back and you're just kicking it forward into the goalkeeper. It's a waste of an opportunity to get a hold of the ball and start to build some play.
Dylan Watts attempting to really influence this game early on. He's got on the ball a fair bit. Cleary and Jack Byrne. You have to imagine he'll have a major influence on the match. He tends to do. Byrne for Lopez. Cleary out on the right-hand side. You can see the possession stats. Shamrock Rovers in excess of 70% so far. And Neil Doyle sounds his whistle. Paddy Kirk, the guilty party. Free kick to Shamrock Rovers.
You can see Paddy Kirk just coming in there on Ronan Finn. He definitely does catch him. But it's just been such a helter-skelter game so far. There's no real rhythm to it. Neither team is getting a chance to kind of just get themselves into any sort of rhythm. But Bohemians showed from the very first attack that when they actually did get hold of the ball and build the play and got the switch out to Horton, they created a really, really good chance from that opportunity. So I would imagine Declan Devine has told his team just to be patient, keep their structure, maintain their defensive shape, which you can see with Flores and Buckley have two pivotal roles in centre midfield, just to be patient, stop the Rovers' attacks, and then to try and move the ball forward then when they do have the opportunities.
Careless from Ali Coote, giving possession away, seized upon by Neil Perugia. Graham Burke under pressure there from Grant Horton. Here's Poom and Perugia. Buckley snapping at his heels there. Jack Byrne has it for Shamrock Rovers, trying to slip in Rory Gaffney. Horton gets it back to Christian Novak. All the way back with James Talbot, who has been with Bohemians since 2019, since returning from England and his time at Sunderland. Forward by Roberto Lopez, but it's a nothing ball. Roberto Lopez, who made 178 appearances for Bohemians between 2010 and 2016 before departing to join Shamrock Rovers in Tala. He's enjoyed so much success, of course, with the club, and the fans affectionately call Pico. Horton looking for Ali Coote, who's got very little change down the Bohemians' right flank so far in the match. Lee Grace covering across. Perugia. Swept on first time by Jack Byrne, and now Dan Cleary can bomb on for the team in green and white. Graham Burke for Finn. Shamrock Rovers seeking their 3rd win of the season against Bohemians. They won 3 of the 4 league meetings between the sides last year. En route to making it 3 titles in succession. Jack Byrne with a clever ball, looking for Farrugia, and Farrugia was stretching, and Novak got something on it. Will be a corner kick for Shamrock Rovers.
Yeah, it was a really clever ball because Horton had just been dragged out, and Novak really does well to come back across, because the advantage really was with Neil Farrugia in that instance, because Novak was on the back foot. He was tracking back, but he got great, really important contact there.
So it will be Jack Byrne to take. And plenty in green and white hooped jerseys inside the area awaiting this delivery. Lopez, Cleary and Lee Grace there. Ronan Finn outside the area at the moment, and Neil Farrugia is the last defensive player for Shamrock Rovers as Byrne prepares to swing in this corner kick. Oh, it's a real tester for the goalkeeper. Afolabi is there, gets something on it, and it hasn't been dealt with. Eventually it's gathered by James Talbot. A slight issue following that corner kick for Johnny Afolabi.
It's a great ball in from Jack Byrne, and just 2 players committed there. Afolabi and his goalkeeper going for the same ball, just making sure. He takes a little bit of a punch into the head there, but Talbot reacts very well, moves on from that to be able to claim the second ball that comes in.
So that goal at Weavers Park, the only goal of the night so far, with Drogheda leading Dundalk by a goal to all the other matches this evening are goalless. Talbot, it was rather rush clearance by James Talbot, and Shamrock Rovers have possession of the ball once again.
Yeah, but that's good pressure from Graham Burke. You know, he's wise to it. He reads the ball coming back to James Talbot, and he's not allowing him to have an easy ball out there. Comes in, puts the pressure on, and forces the turnover in possession.
Here's Graham Burke in a very tight situation, manages to dig out a cross. Cleared away by Christian Novak. He was under real pressure from Ronan Finn. Lopez for Grace. And Grace once again. Bohemians shuffling bodies across the pitch as Jack Byrne elects to go all the way back to Leon Poles. And Grace available to receive. Very calmly done by Marcus Poom. Jack Byrne, the ball will ricochet in favour of Bohemians. Adam McDonald works it to Flores. And now Novak being closed down by the hard-working Rory Gaffney. And Horton sees it back home.
That's one of the things the Shamrock Rovers do really well, is the way they rotate the 4 players in the box. Like you could see there on that occasion, Jack Byrne drops in alongside Marcus Poon to come deeper to try and get on the ball. That allows Dylan Watts to come forward. Bows defenders are happy because they can see Jack Byrne, but then they're not necessarily keeping an eye on Dylan Watts. So you have to be, when you're playing in midfield against that Rovers 4, you really have to be switched on, know your roles, and making sure you're picking up the players, and the communication has to be so strong. And that's why I think Keith Buckley is such an important player back in there for Bohemians. You know, after his year away, I think they really missed him.
Oh, here's Adam McDonald now, an opportunity perhaps for Bohemians to capitalise. It's Ali Coote, he's been forced wide, delivers the cross towards Afolabi, who got something on it, and Cleary just sweeps it away. Jack Byrne gets the ball under control and retains possession. Adam McDonald with a sliding challenge. And that's really got the fans going in the Jody stand on the far side.
Yeah, you just see that cross in there from Ali Coote. A little bit too high for Afolabi.
Well, it's been a tight contest so far, past the midpoint of the first half, and still scoreless. And the Bulls fans getting rather irate over there as Ronan Finn just dawdles over the throw-in. Akintunde. Well, he's been outnumbered. Jack Byrne wins it back for Shamrock Rovers, and now Lee Grace. Here's Poom. Jack Byrne has picked up a very clever position. He's just a little crowded out at the moment, so Farrugia has to recycle it back to Lee Grace. Here's Lopez. And news of a goal at Belfield. Sligo Rovers in front there against UCD. David Coley on target there. So it's UCD 0, Sligo Rovers 1. Farrugia unable to keep the ball in play.
Yeah, I think that's the third time they've tried that diagonal switch to Farrugia, and the third time that it's gone out of play. So they haven't quite got the measure of that ball. But we know Neil Farrugia is such a good player, such a good 1v1 player, loves to get on the ball, take defenders on, really go at players and break lines, and that's why they want a player like him on the ball, because when he's on his game, he really makes a huge impact on Shamrock Rovers. He's one of those players that can be a game changer.
So Buckley goes back to Novak. Mentioned his time in his native Poland. He also spent a couple of seasons in Scotland with Hearts. Here's Radkowski. Needs to be careful here. That's for Radkowski, and he isn't.
He's gone for a corner.
Now he will argue it's bobbled.
Yeah, but he's turned inside, and this is the problem. You see here with Radkowski, he's a right-sided centre-back. He's a right-footed centre-back, and that's the problem. It's easy because you know they're going to cut back inside, makes them very predictable. You get him coming in there and under pressure, he's in trouble.
Well, it's a gift of a corner kick awarded to Shamrock Rovers here by that error. Coughed up by Kasper Radkowski. So Jack Byrne, and he helped Shamrock Rovers to profit here. High towards the back post, and it's headed wide in the end. Radkowski for Paddy Kirk. And that's sloppy from Bohemians.
But again, they're playing out through Radkowski. It's so obvious that Rovers have seen it. They're trying to make sure that the keeper plays to him. He's playing out on his right foot. He's not comfortable because it's very predictable when he's playing out to Paddy Kirk. Rovers have the numbers there, and if he cuts back inside, he's in trouble.
Ronan Finn feeds it back now to Cleary. Bypasses Poom. Lopez forward, and a volley clear. Lee Grace just instructing Leon Poles to make the angle to receive. And now Poom with lots of time to turn and take a touch. There's Dylan Watts. Oh, he's cocked up possession now. Can Afolabi make the most of the opportunity? Almost, but it's a splendid save by Leon Poles to keep it at 0-0. Really careless from Shamrock Rovers there.
Yeah, again, a sloppy ball out, and Dylan Watts is on the back foot. He's got his facing his own goal in possession. The ball gets nicked off him, and Afolabi hits it with his left foot. Tries to stroke it into the bottom corner.
Tried to guide it beyond Leon Poles, and the keeper made a fine save. Two clear-cut opportunities in the match so far, both falling the way of Bohemians. Adam McDonnell early on, and now Jonathan Afolabi. And he's just slowly after getting back to his feet, perhaps just nursing a bit of a knock there. But corner for Bohemians to be taken by Ali Coote.
Nursing a bit of a nudge, I'd say.
Coote's delivery, and well headed clear by Dan Cleary. It will fall to Coote once again. He does really well to spin away from Farrugia. Goes to ground. And he'll get his free kick. That'll be a first yellow card off the derby, and it goes the way of Neil Farrugia of Shamrock Rovers.
Yeah, and you can see Ali Coote's just got beyond him, puts hands on him, draws the foul.
So Neil Farrugia walking that fine line for the remainder of this contest. So Ali Coote and Jordan Flores deep in conversation over this free kick. Afolabi on the edge of the 6-yard box. Radkowski is there as well. Grant Horton at the back post. Adam McDonnell on the edge of the penalty area, should something come his way. The free kick is swung in on a lot of bend and whip on it from Ali Coote, but it whistles wide.
You have to think he's mishit that one. He's hardly going for a shot from that angle, you know, and if you mishit it, you just need to, you know, you need to at least allow a player to get some contact on that rather than wasting the possession from that kind of a dangerous area.
Well, Shamrock Rovers very calmly playing it out from the back. And can they spring Rory Gaffney? Radkowski at full stretch. Had to get that one right, but Dylan Watts has managed to pinch it back for the hoops. Well, that's a really clever ball. And Shamrock Rovers tried to build once again, and in the end it all comes to nothing. And they haven't really managed to create any clear-cut opportunities in the match so far, despite all that possession, Shamrock Rovers.
No, absolutely, and this is the, you know, the thing that Declan Devine will be saying to his players is to keep patient, you know. Let them have the ball as long as they don't score, then we can, you know, use the possession that time that we do and create those chances, and they've created the 2 best chances of the game. This time, though, Bohemians opting to kick long, not going to go short.
Tunde is the target, but won by Cleary in the air. Here's Graham Burke. Jack Byrne available, but Graham Burke initially looked out to his left-hand side. He saw that Neil Ferrugia was getting forward, but he worked it once again. Grace, now Ferrugia has it. Boom. Under pressure from Adam McDonald. The Shamrock Rovers forced to go back to Pico Lopez. Jack Byrne again dropping in to receive the pass. Just shakes the ball out to that right-hand side. Bowes managed to get it back. And Neil Doyle sounds his whistle. And Dan Cleary not too happy with that decision. Bowes take the free kick quickly. Out towards Ali Coote. Hoops bench appealing for handball against Coote. Not given. Buckley. Now Horton. Kirk was in space, but it was well read by Ronan Finn. Last touch came off the Shamrock Rovers man and out of play.
Yeah, well intercepted, and actually just in the play before that, when Bohemians tried to take that quick free kick, Neil Ferrugia was switched on, saw the opportunity and got back in to track Ali Coote and get in behind him to force him to play the ball backwards.
Coote feeds it wide now for Adam McDonald. Horton goes forward. Coote for Horton. Now, what can he conjure up here? Takes a deflection across, and it's gathered by Leon Poles.
That's a potential area of opportunity for Bohemians there, similar to that when Ali Coote comes inside and he drags Neil Ferrugia in. You know, it gives that little bit of space down the right-hand channel for Grant Horton to come and get down there. And the first chance they actually created came from him getting into that space and getting the cross in.
Watts doing really well to spin away from a couple of challenges. Here's Grace, forward by Toom. Watts on it once again. Neat close control from Dylan Watts. Now Ferrugia, and he gets the return of Gaffney. Ferrugia inside the area. Talbot had committed to come. Decisive goalkeeping from James Talbot. So past the half-hour mark, and the latest edition of the great Dublin derby between Bohemians and Shamrock Rovers, and it's still scoreless.
That was really well read from James Talbot, because first Horton got dragged out, and then because of the run, I think, by Rory Gaffney, it meant that Novak got dragged out as well, and it meant then for the when they cut inside, the space was completely open. There was no defender there, so James Talbot really read the situation very well.
Kirk just waiting for options to materialize here. James Akintunde provided the outlet. Horton takes on Ferrugia. Managed to give him the slip, but Lee Grace with a heavy touch. Buckley with a quickly taken throw in. Here's Ali Coote. Teeing it up for Adam McDonald. Curling high over the top.
Yeah, it's good play. Ali Coote just gets into a little bit of space there. Clever little back heel, and Adam McDonald goes for the shooting opportunity and just curls over. But Bohs are starting to find a little bit of a rhythm. They're starting to make a few you know, a bit of an impact down this right-hand channel.
Shamrock Rovers hoping to pick up where they left off before the break. And Bohemians, for their part, who had been on a pretty poor run by and large, despite the draw in Derry just before the break. That's a hefty challenge coming in from Adam McDonnell. And Neil Doyle is just going to have a firm word here with Adam McDonnell.
Yeah, it is. He's come in from behind there.
And he manages to escape a yellow card there, Adam McDonnell. So free kick for Shamrock Rovers, Lee Grace. Looking for Ronan Finn on the far side. 35 years of age now, Ronan Finn. He seems to have been around forever and a day. Made his debut for UCD back in 2005. Just his 8th league appearance of the season for Shamrock Rovers. He's been used rather sparingly by Stephen Bradley so far in the campaign, but he's such an experienced player, Ronan Finn.
It is, but that's really clever play there from Paddy Kirk. He just used his body really well to get in front and encourage the impetus and the momentum of Ronan Finn trying to drive forward to draw the foul and again get his team a breather and an opportunity to start the play again.
The Bulls fans hoping to see their side claim all 3 points here. It's such a huge thing for the Bulls fans when they manage to topple Shamrock Rovers, and likewise the Shamrock Rovers fans in the mono stand on this near side of the pitch. They'll be hoping to see their side claim the 3 points and really push on now. European football, of course, on the horizon pretty shortly for Shamrock Rovers. Afalabi has been whistled up here. And Shamrock Rovers, for their part, will face a side from the preliminary phase in July, so that'll be a side from Andorra, Montenegro, San Marino or Iceland.
Yeah, I think he's a bit too strong of a use of his arm there on Roberto Lopez. But he's been a real thorn in Shamrock Rovers' side. You know, Afalabi he brings great physicality to the game. He's very clever in how he uses his body, how he positions himself to receive. He knows where the defender is when he receives the ball, and he really tries to give himself an opening, almost receiving on the half turn, so that if he gets any bit of space, he has an opportunity maybe to get in on goal or get an attempt at goal.
And it was generally regarded when he was signed by Bohemians that it was a big signing for them, just 23 years of age. Of course, a former Shamrock Rovers youth player, had his time over in Scotland with Celtic, Dunfermline, other clubs as well. So he has quality, there's no doubt about it. And his physical power is such a positive for Bohemians in the attacking third. As Keith Buckley has coughed up a free kick here for a challenge on the far side. And there might be an issue here for Ronan Finn. I think there will be an issue, and Stephen Bradley is just consulting with Glenn Cronin at the moment. Sean Gannon may be coming on. He's certainly going out to warm up now. Stephen Bradley very keen to make full use of his squad. Yeah, Ronan Finn's in real bother here after that challenge from Keith Buckley. Shamrock Rovers with a pretty big game looming on Monday as well, at home to Derry City. Well, that's a shame for Ronan Finn if he's unable to continue. But what a very capable replacement in Sean Gannon.
And I'm not even sure if it was just that challenge. I think there was a challenge earlier and he was moving a little bit gingerly after it. So I'm not sure if it's maybe a combination or a culmination even of a couple of interactions he's had with some of the Bohemians players, but he doesn't look too comfortable.
It's a Shamrock Rovers side tonight without Gary O'Neill, who's been ruled out with a niggling injury, and Trevor Clark, who was the player of the match when the sides met last month at Tallaght Stadium. So Ronan Finn goes off, and the change will be made very shortly with Sean Gannon. Well, in fact, it's going to be Sean Kavanagh. There you go. Yeah. Well, Sean Gannon was sent out initially to warm up, but it's Sean Kavanagh who's going to come on for the hoops instead.
Substitution for Shamrock Rovers, replacing number 8 Ronan Finn is number 11 Sean Kavanagh.
So Kavanagh's on. Kavanagh from Ringsend, like Sean Gannon. It's very disappointing though for Ronan Finn, but
Neil Farrugia then just switches over to the right. Sean Kavanagh comes in on the left because obviously he's a naturally left-footed player, and Neil Farrugia then can play off the right in a position he's played many times for Shamrock Rovers.
Certainly has. Very adaptable player. Cut out by Grant Horton. Byrne, forward by Grace, Kavanagh, and Poom for Roberto Lopez. Poom again. Well, that's neatly done by Sean Kavanagh to pick out Graham Burke. Stoutly defended by Buckley. Akintunde in a 50-50 duel there with Dan Cleary, and he comes out on top. Declan Devine was very keen to snap up James Akintunde. He signed him at Derry City back in 2020. What an amazing weaving run this is from Paddy Kirk. Just ran out of road. And Shamrock Rovers have it back once again. Fed forward to Rory Gaffney. Just checks back. Now Byrne. Kavanagh available on this near side, and he's been picked out by Lopez. Burke through the middle. Just dropped into that pocket of space and then does a 360. Byrne. Adam McDonald just outwitted. He's been chasing shadows there, Adam McDonald. Grace. And off to Dan Cleary. Akintunde putting the squeeze on and pulls. Sweeps it away first time for Lee Grace. Poom. Shamrock Rovers trying to beat the press here, and in the end they had to go back to their goalkeeper, who clears only as far as Keith Buckley. On by Dylan Watts. Gaffney with the knockdown. Shamrock Rovers could threaten here with Jack Byrne trying to slip it through for Farrugia. Got that one all wrong. It's not often you say that about Jack Byrne. Afolabi holds it up well, and Kirk with the first time cross, but it's a rather aimless one, and it's gathered by Leon Poles. So just a few minutes to go to half-time. Frantic start. It has settled somewhat. The Bohemians with the clearest of openings. Shamrock Rovers yet to really test James Talbot in the Bohemians' goal. And McDonald plays it forward, cut out and cleared away by Kavanagh. Christian Novak. Horton. Despite the brilliant sunshine, which is broken out, there is quite a blustery breeze, but it's not really a significant factor as Afolabi tries to get on the end of it. Radkowski. Happy just to drill it downfield.
It is quite warm, like that sun is quite intense, you know, and for the players on the pitch, it's still in the temperatures are still in the early 20s, and the intensity of the game, you know, it can be quite energy sapping.
Gaffney battling away with Radkowski. Oh, that's untidy from Keith Buckley. Jack Byrne suggesting to Neil Doyle he should have had a free kick. Ali Coote bombs on. Afolabi through the middle. On the turn. Afolabi with a shot. And strong appeal for handball. Neil Doyle is unmoved. It will be a corner kick though for Bohemians.
Well, it was a really, really good move. A great drive forward from Ali Coote. A clever little ball in. And again, it's that movement, isn't it, from Afolabi? And it's hard to see from the replays if it does hit his hand, but it's quite possible it clips his elbow but his arm is tucked in.
Corner swung in, and it's pawed away brilliantly by Poles. Not too sure how much he knew about it. Poles beginning to press once again. The Shamrock Rovers being pegged back at the moment. Horton, and swept in by Keith Buckley. Ball breaks on the edge of the area, and it's a volley downfield by Dylan Watts. Straight to Paddy Kirk. Strong end to the first half from the Gypsies as they power on with Paddy Kirk. Akintunde feeds it back for the cross. Afolabi is in there in the mix. cleared away, and now Shamrock Rovers will try and hit on the counter with Graham Burke. And there's going to be a yellow card here for Grant Horton. Well, he was yellow card in the match in Tallaght just a few weeks ago, and now it's all getting rather heated in the sunshine in Phibsborough. Neil Doyle will have to try and restore order here, but there will be a yellow card for Grant Horton.
And there's players there getting involved that don't need to get involved. You know, you don't want to be picking up needless bookings. If you're going to get booked in a game like this, you want it to be for a challenge that you absolutely have to make. You don't want to be picking up a stupid yellow card for mouthing off or for getting involved when you don't need to be, and then getting yourself into trouble when a challenge does come along that you do have to make.
So yellow card for Grant Horton. And here's why. And then there was a reaction from Graham Burke, which was perhaps not picked up by the officials.
But this will say it's about, you need cool heads, hot temperatures, you know, the heat of battle, but you need to have a cool head and not take a stupid booking for something needless like that.
2 additional minutes to be played at the end of the opening 45 here. And there's a yellow card now. He has picked up a yellow card, Graham Burke, for his reaction following the challenge from Grant Horton.
And I think Adam MacDonald's got one as well. And again, those two, like if you're the manager of both those players, you have to be disappointed with them taking yellow cards for that.
So a yellow, and it's not all quite finished just yet, as Neil Doyle just checks his notepad. So a fairly boisterous end to the opening period, as those cards were being dished out. Stephen Bradley, the Shamrock Rovers manager, was more set on having a conversation with Dylan Watts. Wanted to get something across to him. Here's Gaffney, and Gaffney swings it out to Jack Byrne. Kavanagh available. Jack Byrne will fancy taking on Grant Horton. Perhaps. Kavanagh available. What about the first time cross? Burke with his back to goal. Back to Jack Byrne. Here's Poom. And the Estonian wide for Kavanagh. And he's given possession straight back to Adam MacDonald. Now Afolabi dueling with Lopez. And the free kick goes in favour of Roberto Lopez. Both fans not happy because Afolabi was scampering clear. Well, he uses that physique of his so well, Jonathan Afolabi.
Yeah, look, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's backing into Lopez. Lopez is in the air, but Afolabi is clever. And again, like I said, he's always looking to receive that ball on the half turn. It's exactly what he's doing there. He just didn't quite get away with it, but his intention was right.
Yeah, confirmation of that booking for Adam MacDonald, following that set 2 right on the blow of half time. Paddy Kirk manages to cut it out. MacDonald gets something on it, and Bohemians have it, and it's sent forward in the direction of Afolabi, and Neil Doyle sounds his whistle, and that is that. It's half-time in the Northside-Southside Dublin derby, and it's been fairly frenetic at times. Bohemians have had the best of the chances in the match so far, and a rather fractious end to the first half with that yellow cards being brandished by referee Neil Doyle. This one is certainly simmering up very, very nicely. Half-time at Dalymount Park. It's all square. It is Bohemians 0, Shamrock Rovers 0.
Well, it's been just as competitive as their 2 previous encounters this season, and while Rovers saw plenty of the ball throughout the first half, it was Bohs who had their sights set firmly on the Rovers' goal, which has so far remained intact. So at Dalymount Park in the big Dublin derby, it's Shamrock Rovers 0, Bohemians 0. And on an evening when the memory of Christy Dignam is being honoured here at Dalymount Park, his daughter Ciara Dignam is giving us a lovely rendition of Aslan's big hit, Crazy World. So a very emotional moment for her, I'm sure, but the Bulls fans and indeed the Shamrock Rovers fans listening intently to a lovely rendition of the song. Right, for us we got to get to the analysis, but first of all, Stuart, definitely Bohemians grew in confidence as that first half wore on.
Yeah, I think that's the way I'd summarise it, I have to say. It started quite tentative, first 5-10 minutes. I felt Rovers put a foothold in the game. Jack Bourne, Ferrugia, Graham Burke certainly getting a lot of possession. The stats would suggest, you know, Rovers something in the region of 70% possession, but only 2 shots on goals. And as the game developed, all of a sudden Bows, their game plan kind of came to fruition. They were holding back, and then they started to nick Rovers at the right time, and ultimately they finished the half the better team. Yeah, and they've had the better of the chances too, Alan.
Yeah, much better the chances. They're the team that has looked the most threatening. This was Akintunde on the left-hand side, played a lovely ball, opened up the whole play, and Horton, who's gone forward at times, Peter, plays a decent ball into the box, but Adam McDonald making that late run for midfield, and he's really unlucky. It's his weaker right foot, but it's a decent strike across the goal, and very unlucky. This second one, just to go back to Stewie's point, look, it's a straight pass. Dylan Watts is receiving that ball square, perfect for a midfielder to get nicked. From Keith Buckley comes in, who's really good at that. Keith Buckley, great pressure, and Afalabi's unlucky with the shot.
Have a look at the pressure here from Bowen, squeezed in, lovely little back heel. Maliku actually goes for the nut to one of the players. Adam McDonald kind of snatches that a little bit, and this is a wonderful save. Akintunde doesn't know much about this. It's coming off his shoulder, but Leon Pauls has to be really on his mettle. Have a look at that for movement. Good feet, really good save, top-notch stuff.
Now, what Declan Devine didn't want to see towards the end of that first half was some more yellow cards, because they could prove costly later on in the game. What did you make of the temperature being raised a little bit towards the end of the first half?
Yeah, of course, it's typical Dublin derby stuff, feisty, competitive, but that's a good tackle, Peter. And I think Neil Doyle, who's managed the game really well, to be fair, it's a very difficult game to manage. But then he brandishes a yellow for what I felt was not a yellow. There was a couple of earlier ones where you're thinking they were yellows, and then it kind of descends into a bit of chaos. Burke reacts with a push, handbag stuff really, but it's needless yellows that they have. And McDonald obviously, who's picked up one, he's a combative figure in that midfield. Burke has been known to obviously be temperamental and fiery. It could cost him later in the game, but the initial tackle is not a yellow card.
I love all this stuff, I have to say. I mean, that's what you want. You want that. It's a good tackle. I think he's gotten his body in front. I think referee Neil might have seen him maybe lunge his right leg. I don't know whether he threw it to it, but it's a good tackle. And
earlier on, Peter, there was one. Now, nothing came of it, and I think there might have been an offside, but we were shouting on the sideline because when we seen the replay, a very bad tackle from Paddy Kirk into the back of Ronan Finn. Ronan has since gone off. And Neil, and I think, in fairness to Neil, who I say is a very good referee, he's trying to manage the temperature here. So he didn't want to brandish a yellow straight away, but it was an awful tackle. Now he's given Horton one that I don't think is a yellow. So
okay, well, it's scoreless at half-time, and we still have 11 v 11 at Dalymount Park. Whether it remains that way remains to be seen. Second half coming up after the break. The Saturday Game Live features a hurling championship quarter-final doubleheader. First up, it's Clare against Dublin, and that's followed by Galway versus Tipperary. On Sunday afternoon, Galway take on Mayo at Pearse Stadium in the Football Championship preliminary quarter-final. We're on air at 2:40 on RTE1. The Tailteann Cup is down to the last 4. We've live coverage of the 2 Croke Park semi-finals from 1:30 on RTE2. And the Sunday Game evening edition at 9:30 will have a comprehensive roundup of the weekend's GAA action. And you're very welcome back. Half-time here at Dalymount Park. It's Bohemians 0, Shamrock Rovers 0, and possibly a fair reflection of the first half, Stuart. But I'm just looking there. I mean, the options that Shamrock Rovers have on the bench are quite significant. How quickly do you think Stephen Bradley will make changes? Because the game suggests so far that changes are required.
Yeah, I don't think he'll hang around, I have to say. I think he'll be happy enough with their ball possession, but I don't think they've had any real kind of cutthroat about them at all. Like, I think you look at the bench, you've got the likes of a Richie Tell, maybe runners from midfield. Johnny Kenny can certainly come on and give you something, but I think he has to change it. It's been a little bit predictable from Rovers, I have to say. And Bowes, tactically they've gotten it right. There's no doubt about it.
The final ball hasn't been great, Alan. What else has been missing from the Shamrock Rovers performance?
That's something they lack when they play without a Richie Towell in the midfield. Everything's in front of Bohemians because Jack wants to come to feet, get on the ball, even dropping very deep. Dylan Watts the same, Burke as well is the same. So they've no runners beyond Gaffney. So you look at the likes of Johnny Kenny may come on in support of Gaffney or Richie in midfield. I think Bowes have done quite well defensively to nullify Burke, because even watching him here, the positions he's picking up and Jack, but Flores and Buckley have done a very good job just in shielding that back four. But it's been a great game. I've really enjoyed it so far, Peter.
Yeah, is it fair to say, Stuart, that Bohemians just haven't allowed Shamrock Rovers settle into the rhythm that they wanted to settle into?
Yeah, I think they defended in numbers. I mean, we've seen Jack Bourne on the ball an awful lot, Graham Burke, and there's certainly been bodies around there, and they've kind of stopped Jack really kind of probing. There's a couple of opportunities Jack has had to get Rory Gaffney away, and he kind of failed to do that. But what I've been impressed with Bowes, they've been patient, and when the opportunities have come their way, they've latched on that. They've been quite quick, and they've worked Leon Poles.
Another thing that's important for them as well, Peter, the crowd are involved in the game. The atmosphere is brilliant, and the fact that obviously they've seen Bohemians have a couple of chances as well. They're very much involved in the game and really cheering them on, roaring them on, which helps and spurs the Bohemians players on also.
Stuart, when we were talking just before the game kicked off, you mentioned off here how significant this game is for Bohemians at this point in the season, considering what's coming up in Europe for the other teams, that you really felt Bowes needed to get something out of this.
Yeah, I think especially coming off the back of that their season had started so well, and then it kind of went into the break quite poorly. I mean, Bowes could go into a period, July, August, of having inconsistent games because of the fact that they're not in Europe. Other teams are in Europe, and it tends to affect that whole sort of consistency. I think they need to get points on the board now, get themselves back into this race a little bit.
Okay, well, it's been competitive so far. Let's see what happens now as the second half is about to get underway. So let's rejoin Adrian and Lisa in the commentary box.
Great, Peter. We're all set, good to go, as Stephen Bradley returns to his place in the dugout. The Shamrock Rovers boss. I'm sure he had lots to say at the break, certainly in terms of Shamrock Rovers and their inability in the first half to carve open Bohemians and really create chances of note in the match. They've certainly been dominant in terms of possession. We're hopeful of goals in the second half. You have to go back to 2015, in fact, for the last scoreless draw in this fixture. That was a Leinster Senior Cup match in which Trevor Clark made his debut, his first debut for Shamrock Rovers, as the hoops get us underway for the second half, playing from left to right. And an early tester for Paddy Kirk, coming together there with Neil Ferrugia, one of 4 players on a yellow card now for the second half. Akintunde picks up the pieces for Bowes, and Lopez went clattering into Afolabi. Play continues, and Bowes have possession on the right flank. Horton works it back to Buckley in the bright sunshine, and an opportunity for Bowes to deliver the cross, and it's just skied into the air by Roberto Lopez. All a bit jittery there from the normally calm and composed Roberto Lopez. And Lopez there with that rather rash attempt at clearance. And Shamrock Rovers will again try to play out from inside their own penalty area. Dylan Watts skipping away from a couple of challenges. Dylan Watts got a pretty solid game for Shamrock Rovers so far. Here's Lee Grace, the man from Carrickensure in Tipperary, for Lopez. Graham Burke, another of the 4 carded players in the first half. And Graham Burke on 7 league goals, like Rory Gaffney for the campaign so far. Initially retained possession and worked it back to Lopez. Here's Dylan Watts. And Watts very quickly closed down, and Dan Cleary sends it high downfield, inviting the run of Rory Gaffney, but it's a rather scrappy start to the second period.
Yeah, and you can see Bowes starting up with exactly the same structure that they had in the first, and the same approach with Buckley and Flores sitting in front trying to protect that space. But interesting there, already you could see in those little passing moves from Shamrock Rovers, dragging Flores down, and Dylan Watts making the run forward, but he was tracked by Adam MacDonald. So Bowes really know, and they're expecting that, and it's just that concentration to be able to keep doing that.
Kavanagh with the ball, looking for a knockdown here. Might work out for Rory Gaffney. He's been forced wide. He's got Grant Horton for company. Feeds it back, swept in by Kavanagh, and a glancing header finds the back of the net. 2 minutes gone in the second half, and Shamrock Rovers celebrate. Delightful goal, swept in, and Shamrock Rovers edged in front here at Dalymount Park with a real quality goal.
It was, and it was a great one from Neil Ferrugia, the way he comes in from the wide position, times it perfectly. Rory Gaffney did very well, worked hard to get the ball back, and then you see here he just works hard, he has a little look, takes another touch, lays it back. Cross comes in from Sean Cavan, and that's a brilliant, brilliant header from Neil Ferrugia.
Well, Neil Ferrugia opened the scoring in this derby match, in the first one of the campaign in 2023. And he's applied a vital touch here. Super ball in and a deft header. And Shamrock Rovers lead the derby. It's Bohemians 0, Shamrock Rovers 1. Glancing header from Neil Ferrugia. And the Shamrock Rovers fans, now we're going to have a slight delay because there's been some flares thrown onto the pitch. So they'll have to sort that out before this game can resume. Or it is very pungent, the smell from the flares that have been let off by the Shamrock Rovers fans in the mono stand in celebration of that breakthrough goal. Bohs have been caught cold right at the start of the second period. That glancing header from Neil Ferrugia, just his second league goal of the season.
Yeah, and in some respects it actually takes away the momentum that Shamrock Rovers have just had. You know, the first thing you always say after your team concedes a goal is sit in, get solid, take a breather, slow the game down, get a hold of it. And in effect, the Flares have actually done that for Bohemians, where Shamrock Rovers will want the game to restart. They've got that perfect start now to the second half. You know, they've scored virtually their first chance of the game.
And it's a quality goal that has given them the breakthrough at Dalymount Park. And I think we've got the Flares more or less sorted now, so the match can resume once again. And it'll be Johnny Afolabi to restart the game, with Bohs now trailing by a goal to nil. Well, the half-time team talk has worked a treat for Shamrock Rovers. They're in front, and they've thrown the gauntlet down to Bohemians, and Shamrock Rovers are right at it at the start of the second half, winning possession pretty much straight away following the restart. Lopez with the angle ball for Gaffney, away by Christian Novak. And a little scrap for possession. Graham Burke slipping it forward now to Gaffney, the tune man on the spin, able to retain possession. Sent forward by Ali Koot initially. Akintunde racing to try and win it back for Bohs. Again, nothing doing. Ball over the top of the offside flag is going to go up against Rory Gaffney.
Yeah, and it might be just a slight change in tactical approach from Shamrock Rovers, because you can see straight away in the first three passages of play, Rory Gaffney's been involved, and he was very quiet in the first half. They were more trying to play into Burke and Jack Byrne and, you know, using the wings, whereas now they're actually look to be going a little bit more direct, trying to play into him a little bit earlier, and you can see the difference it's already made.
Well, Derry City leading against Cork City. Jamie McGonigal right on the blow of half-time, so it's quite tight at the top in terms of Derry City trying to keep pace with Shamrock Rovers. Still a lot of football to be played. Novak. And Horton all the way back to James Talbot. Got Caspi available. Flores. Shamrock Rovers just putting the squeeze on Talbot. To Novak. Now Horton. He quickly dropped into a very clever position to receive the pass. And he drives forward. There's Afolabi. Trying to give Lopez the slip here. Lee Grace bailing out his teammate. But it will be a throw-in. And the Bohs fans in the Jody stand getting behind their team as they seek a levelling goal. They have plenty of time to try and work something now. Grant Horton. Buckley. And Koot from the byline delivers the cross. Afolabi once again, as ever, is in there contesting. Shamrock Rovers happy just to knock and clear. Decent little spell this. Again, it's a tester for the Hoops rear guard. Cleary gets it away. Graham Burke unable to make it stick. Flores has it for the Gypsies. Jordan Flores has scored a memorable goal for Dundalk in Tala. February 2020. Let's be doing something like that right now. And there's going to be a yellow card here for James Akintunde or the little tug back. So he becomes the 5th player into Neil Doyle's notebook.
Yeah, and you can see there, it all starts from Neil Farrugia winning the ball back, and he's deep, he's locked in back in alongside the 3 centre backs, and he does his defensive work. He gets back into possession, wins the ball, and then he drives forward. He's such a good outlet for Shamrock Rovers. Like we said in the first half, when there's space in front of him, he wants to drive into it, and he draws the foul and the yellow card.
So Shamrock Rovers looking to add a second goal here and really take a grip on this Dublin derby. Jack Byrne over the dead ball. 9 players wait on the delivery on the edge of the area. Byrne, curling ball in. Lopez tried to get something on it. And Poole with the shot. Oh, what a goal! They've doubled their advantage. What a cracking goal from the Estonian. Marcus Poole, boom! It's his first league goal for Shamrock Rovers, and it is an absolute belter.
Well, if you're going to score your first one, that's absolutely the way to do it. He caught it so sweetly, perfectly positioned on the edge of the box.
Oh, what a quality strike. Talbot at full stretch. Couldn't keep it out.
Again, it's a great ball in from Jack Byrne, and Pico Lopez does enough. Like he can't win the first ball, but he keeps it alive. He uses his body to protect it and make sure it goes back to another Shamrock Rovers player. Like I say, Marcus Poole perfectly positioned, and just drops sweetly for him on his left foot, and what a strike that is.
And Shamrock Rovers lead by 2-0. And we haven't played 10 minutes of the second half. Strangely out of sorts for so much of the first half. But Shamrock Rovers, well, they've hit their straps in the second period. Goals from Neil Farrugia and Marcus Poole have them very firmly in the driving seat, and this is really posing questions of Bohemians. And the Shamrock Rovers, the tails are up at the moment. Wolves trying to get a foothold once again, fed back to Ratkowski. Now Christian Novak. Ratkowski slides it forward for Flores. A bit of a risky game, so a rather hurried clearance. Seeking out Akintunde, and Dan Cleary decides to take no chances and just hoist the ball out of play. Both, as you'd expect, have to show a real sense of urgency now. Trailing by 2-0. It's a long way back. Looking for a quick-fire response here. Akintunde trying to link up with Ali Koot. Kirk goes down. Felt the challenge, and down he goes. Free kick on the edge of the area, so perhaps now this is the opportunity that Bohs have been crying out for.
Yeah, and you would think that this is Jordan Flores' territory. I think he scored 5 goals this season, and 3 of them come directly from free kicks. So this is absolutely his type of territory, although I'm not sure it particularly favours a left foot strike from this side or this angle. Yeah. It might be one for Ali Koot to swing in.
Tricky enough angle as Shamrock Rovers organise the defensive wall. Leon Poles with the glaring sun. That's another factor to contend with here. And it is Koot, and it's tipping, but not sufficiently.
And it's important now for Bohemians just to try and get a foothold back in the game and settle. They just haven't matched the same intensity levels that they had in the first half, even in their press and their structure. You know, sometimes halftime can come and break your momentum, whereas they really had a good rhythm in the game in the first half. But Shamrock Rovers have certainly upped their intensity in the second half. You can see they're playing a little bit more direct to Rory Gaffney. They're starting to, you know, use the opposite side. Farrugia coming in from the opposite side for the goal, and plus there's a bit more intensity when they haven't got the ball as well.
Gaffney trying to link up Neil Farrugia. The ball just bobbles off his knee and out of play. Jody Stand a little more subdued at the moment as the Shamrock Rovers fans are singing Crazy World. There's Aslan Classic. Buckley pinging it forward, inviting the run of Ali Koot, but too much on it as the ball just picks up pace and goes behind.
Yeah, and the pitch is a little bit firmer, you know, it's because of the dry weather and the breeze. It's you know, the sprinklers were back out at half time again, but it's very difficult to keep any moisture in the pitch in this kind of weather. And you know, that means those long balls, when you play them in or you play them, try to affect the space in behind, it's difficult because the ball just travels so quickly.
Oh, they're in fine voice at the moment, the Shamrock Rovers supporters. They are absolutely loving this. Novak with the defensive header away. Bloom got the shot from Lee Grace, but took control of that situation. Horton with some defending to do, and just nudges it back to his goalkeeper. Of course, it's a given that Stephen Bradley and Glenn Cronin and Stephen McPhail will want to see Shamrock Rovers keep a clean sheet tonight. They've only conceded 1 goal in their last 6 meetings with Bohemians. 11 clean sheets in total this season. Tunde with the layoff, with a heavy touch, but Bowes managed to get it away with it. As Jordan Flores just looked at the skies in frustration. Akintunde, he's covered a lot of ground, James Akintunde. Adam McDonald checks back and rolls it back for Grant Horton. And McDonald with an opportunity to deliver the cross, volleyed away by Pico Lopez. Burke got a touch to it, and Gaffney. Really good stuff there from the big man to work it back to Dan Cleary. And Novak gets it under control. It looks like Shamrock Rovers will be making a change very shortly. Richie Towell is prepped and ready to come on. Dylan Watts. Watts who spent a year at Bohemians back in 2018. Making a total of 22 appearances for the club before moving to Shamrock Rovers. And Dylan Watts is the player who's going to go off, and Richie Towell, fresh legs. Richie Towell back after serving his 3-match ban following that red card against Cork City down at Turner's Cross. So he's done his time for his crime, and off he goes, and Dylan Watts, and on goes Richie Towell. And a double change now being made by Bohemians. Dylan Connolly is going on. James Akintunde is going off. In fact, just the single change being made by Bohemians. So Dylan Connolly, a player that possesses explosive pace, is on for the last half an hour or so here at Dalymount Park, with Bohemians trailing by 2-0.
Yeah, and you would be thinking that's exactly the thinking behind that. You can see Dylan Connolly has moved out into the same position where Akintunde was, maybe trying to exploit the space in behind if they can get an opportunity to catch Rovers with a high line.
Here's Gaffney. Rolls it back for Plume. Gaffney again. Shamrock Rovers controlling the match now. And Bowes trying to work hard to win it back, and they've done so. Jordan Flores trying to clip it forward. Surging run made by Dylan Connolly. Here's Jack Byrne. And Byrne with a really good ball over the top, but it's just going to elude the ever-willing Graham Burke, who acknowledges the through ball from Jack Byrne.
Yeah, and you can see straight away with Flores there, he's immediately looking to try and play in behind and release Dylan Connolly into that space in behind the Shamrock Rovers defence, whereas Akintunde is more looking to receive the ball to feet and come in deep to receive it. So he gives them a different option.
Forward by Grant Horton. Got out of play from Grant Horton. A little bit disjointed at the moment from Bohemians. Just struggling to get any kind of rhythm going in the second half.
Yeah, they just haven't really settled at all since the break.
Really caught cold by those 2 quick-fire goals from Shamrock Rovers just after the restart.
But I think Shamrock Rovers have been smart in the way that they've changed, you know, just made a slight change for the second half, and whereas Jack Byrne and Graham Burke are pretty much covered by Buckley and Flores, instead of looking to find the space, they're now playing straight through that space and into Gaffney earlier, and it's just made a difference. And Bohemians haven't really figured out how to deal with it before the damage was done.
Here's Ali Kucho. That's a really clever ball to pick out the run of Adam McDonald, who just couldn't quite get it under his spell. Great work once again by Rory Gaffney. He used all his strength and experience there to fend off the challenge, and the cushion ball for Graham Burke. Gaffney on it once again. Delivers the cross. It takes a deflection. And will run behind for a goal kick in the end.
Yeah, again, you see Gaffney in the wide area, looking to get the cross in. Little header and it just goes wide. But again, you can see straight away, like again, it's Shamrock Rovers now starting to get into those wide areas and cross the ball. And Gaffney again, the player in the channel.
Here's Afolabi, offering a real threat for Bohemians. Holds it right across the face-off goal and narrowly wide. Great work by Afolabi, and almost managed to provide Bohemians with a foothold in the match.
Yeah, it's a good response. It comes from a big long ball forward from James Talbot, and again Afolabi using his body really well just to find the space initially, but Pico Lopez is very close to him and just cuts down the angle. He still gets the shot away, but you'd be very disappointed if he's scoring from that angle.
Well, James Clark will be on very shortly for Bohemians. That'll be their latest switch. Disappointing out ball from Leon Poles. Poles, who's done well. He's got a very resolute defence, of course, in front of him, but 6 clean sheets since taking over from Alan Manis between the posts. So James Clark is going to go on for Adam McDonald, who's one of the players, of course, carrying a yellow card. Just looked a little jaded there in that last play, as he wasn't able to get the ball under control. Oh, and Bows have coughed it up here. Jack Byrne driving forward, Gaffney through the middle. Byrne, lovely disguise on that as he made to have the shot and then tried to pick out the run of Gaffney. Here is Gaffney. Back to Kavanagh. And Graham Burke with the hit. And straight at James Talbot. I get a sense there could be more goals in this match for Shamrock Rovers, the way they're playing in this second period in particular. The diagonal switch from Paddy Kirk. Flores with the knockdown for Buckley. Novak. And Port. Horton. Well, that's a good switch to pick out Paddy Kirk. And Kirk to drive on. Neil Ferrugia manages to win it back. Great challenge from Neil Ferrugia. And he somehow managed to retain possession. Brilliant from Neil Ferrugia. Sent forward now by Gaffney, looking for Graham Burke. Latkowski was very committed all over Graham Burke there as the ball was played forward. Burke slides it through for Gaffney. He's got Jack Byrne to his left. And Gaffney goes for goal and Talbot makes the save.
Yeah, Shamrock Rovers really starting to drag Bohemians' shape all over the pitch again. You can see, okay, they've brought in fresh legs for Adam McDonald, but you know, again, they're just getting dragged into wide positions. When they get dragged wide, they're not covering the space in the middle, and Rovers are now starting to attack that space, getting their midfielders forward.
Here is Dylan Connolly on a weaving run, picks out Ali Coote. Back to Connolly. Kirk. Forward by Flores. Clark and Afolabi. Afolabi! Oh, yeah! That's a quality goal too! Johnny Afolabi with a really smart and tidy finish. And Buzz back in the match. Bohemians 1, Shamrock Rovers 2. This game is not done just yet.
Well, it's not, and that's exactly what Bohemians needed. Again, you just see the little bit of space that Afolabi gets himself into. He's up tight first. Pico Lopez is in front of him. He gets that little bit of space he wants. This time he doesn't have to navigate the defender before he gets the shot away, and it's a brilliant, brilliant strike.
Johnny Afolabi has Bowles back in the contest. Off the woodwork and into the back of the net. Oh, what a lively second half. And Shamrock Rovers, the defending league champions, going for 4 in a row, still lead. The Bohemians have given them food for thought now with that goal expertly taken by Jonathan Afolabi. Just his 3rd league goal of the season, scored against UCD in the draw back in April. Also on target in the win over Pats in March. He has his 3rd as Shamrock Rovers tried to working opening down that right-hand side, but Graham Burke is left frustrated. Well, it was a decent enough first half, but this game has really sparked to life in the second half, Lisa.
It has. It's definitely opened up a little bit. Again, you can, as we said earlier, Shamrock Rovers have managed to just disturb that Bohemians defence and structure, and it just becomes a bit more open then the game. There's a bit more space, and you're relying on players to do well in 1v1 situations more now than in the structure.
And there's a bit more noise now coming and emanating from the Jody stand as Kirk delivers the cross in the general direction of Afolabi. Clark gets a touch to it. Buckley, Dylan Connolly also in the area along with Afolabi. Clark. Now Coote to have a shot. Blocked away, and eventually Neil Ferrugia, with a moment of panic, just slices the ball out of play on the far side, and the Bows fans are really G'd up. Horton to deliver the cross, away by Lopez, and Poom will carry it downfield. Trying to release Rory Gaffney, who's in a real foot race with Radkowski, and he runs the ball out of play. And the initiative now with Bohemians.
Yeah, and the tempo's gone up again. You can feel the energy around the ground, but the players, they respond to that. When the crowd is up and the noise levels go up, the players respond, and you can see that.
So Paddy Kirk to take the throw in for Bohemians. Coote. Kirk. Well, he was outnumbered, and in the end, the last touch came off the left back of Bohemians. And Glenn Crone trying to get some words of wisdom onto the field of play. Part of the management setup, of course, at Shamrock Rovers. Here's Kavanagh for Gaffney, and Gaffney with a driven shot towards the near post. The angle was always against him, but it still required saving from James Talbot.
Yeah, it does, and again, it's Gaffney. They're looking to play that little ball into him early down the sides of the defenders, and he's making those runs now. He's moving out from the central channel, going into the little slightly wide areas, and they're finding him.
And Graham Burke happy just to slow it down and perhaps take the energy out of the occasion. It looked initially as if he was going to take the corner himself. Now Jack Byrne, as you'd expect, will take this set piece for the hoops. Plenty in green and white inside the area. Well, he's taking his time, and that's really raising the hackles of the Bows fans. Jack Byrne's corner kick. Neil Doyle sounds his whistle, and it will be a free kick to Bohemians. So just the latest on the other matches tonight. Obviously here it's 2-1 in favour of Shamrock Rovers. Derry continuing to lead against Cork City by a goal to nil, and it's still Drogheda a goal to the good, but Pats have made the breakthrough against Shelburne. And the other Dublin derby that's on tonight, UCD still trailing Sligo Rovers by a goal to nil. Clark stepping away from Poom, and it's a good surging run from the Meath man, who ran into traffic in the shape of Richie Towell. Neil Doyle gives the free kick. And Shamrock Rovers just trying to manage the game, just slow it down and curb the enthusiasm which has been generated by that goal from Jonathan Afolabi for Bows. Grace goes down by Afolabi. Marcus Poom out to Sean Kavanagh. And Kavanagh checks away from Dylan Connolly. Coote. There's Flores. Kirk. Ali Coote once again. Afolabi on the edge of the area at the moment. Paddy Kirk did really well to retain possession. It's away from Neil Ferrugia. Still Paddy Kirk. And Kirk will run here. Opportunity for Clark. And that's a good save from Leon Coles down to his left-hand side. James Clark almost providing Bohemians with an equalising goal.
Yeah, and he's been lively since he's come on. Like, sometimes a game like this can be hard, especially at this tempo, but he's come straight in, got his foot into the game, and he's, you know, getting into space, and he's bringing that energy that Bohemians have absolutely needed.
James Clark, who joined Bohemians from Drogheda United last summer. Leon Poles again just slowing it down. Afolabi is there. And eventually the clearance is completed by the Shamrock Rovers goalkeeper. Here's Lopez to Towell. Prods it in the direction of Cleary. Did him no favours whatsoever there. Here's Afolabi, the ball into the middle for Dylan Connolly. And Clark, he ties it up! Denied moments ago, but James Clark has come to the rescue for Bohemians. And the Bulls fans have gone absolutely bananas. It's 2-2. They look dead and buried at 2-0 down early in the second half. But James Clark ties it up. Bohemians 2, Shamrock Rovers 2.
Well, it comes from a turnover in possession and a little bit of bravery, and the early ball in from Afolabi. He has a look, sees it. He's just so calm and composed. He doesn't lash it, he doesn't try and get powered, he just places it, picks his spot and side foots it into the net. It's a fantastic finish, so composed. Shifts it from his left foot onto his right foot. Picks his spot.
Well, this match, this Dublin derby, always provides drama, and we've certainly got it here on this Friday night on the north side of Dublin in Phibsborough. Bohemians back from the dead, so to speak, trailing by 2-0, and they managed to turn it around. You wouldn't say they completely looked out of it, but you have to say that it looked like Shamrock Rovers going to ease away to a pretty comfortable win. Bohemians under Declan Devine showing their mettle once again. Or can they possibly go on and win the match? Free kick eventually awarded in favour of Bohemians. Dylan Connolly on the deck.
Yeah, I think it was just a little tussle between himself and Sean Kavanagh.
And it's a yellow card for Sean Kavanagh as a result. 15 minutes to go. And the atmosphere inside this ground is absolutely crackling at the moment.
If anything, the sun's gone in, the temperature has gone up.
So
but it's a brilliant game. It's a brilliant, brilliant game.
So free kick for Jordan Flores to take for Bohemians. Hangs it up invitingly, firmly and easily away by Neil Ferrugia. Kirk for Coote. They take on Neil Ferrugia. He gets his throw in. It will be left for Paddy Kirk, who has a pretty decent long throw in if they decide to employ that particular route. And it looks like he's going to give it large here, Paddy Kirk. Into the area it goes, right into the mixer. On the edge of the area, it's volleyed away by Jack Byrne, only as far as Flores. Well, this is the 10th time that Declan Devine has managed a team against Stephen Bradley. He's yet to record a win. 8 losses during his time in charge of Derry City, and Bohemians 1 draw. Could tonight be the night? Well, Shamrock Rovers may have something to say about that. Rory Gaffney sweeps it in, inviting ball, but superbly defended by Christian Novak. He got it all right, and he needed to do so.
Yeah, he did. It was a dangerous ball in. He was well aware that Rory Gaffney was coming in to a dangerous position, so he's timed that really well.
Fifth corner for Shamrock Rovers, and again it'll be Jack Byrne on duty. Cleary and Lopez and Lee Grace inside the area, awaiting this set piece. And it's a decent ball. Lopez tried to get something on it and ricochets behind. And Neil Boyle's decision is goal kick. So Bohs will make another change with 13 minutes or so to go, and it's Declan McDade who's coming on, and Ali Coote is the player who heads off. So McDade on for Ali Coote.
Substitution for Bohemians replacing number 8 Ali Coote is number 7 Declan McDade.
Baruja. And the last touch came off James Clark. Well, Graham Burke almost running himself into trouble, and he has. McDade straight into the thick of the action, cut out by Roberto Lopez, and now Graham Burke trying to get away from James Clark. And those players, I think, were looking for handball. 12 minutes remaining as this game ebbs and flows.
And it really could go either way. You really could see either team score, and both teams with players on the pitch with that capacity to produce a moment of magic.
Towell for Poom. On to Jack Byrne with Sean Kavanagh on the overlap. Grace. Richie Towell. And now Dan Cleary. Burke on the half turn. Slipping it forward for Gaffney. Gaffney inside the area. Still Gaffney. A trailing leg could have been an issue there. The Shamrock Rovers continuing to threaten. Graham Burke on the turn, trying to link up there with Richie Towell. And it all breaks down, and it's Bohs who have possession once again. As Declan McDade drove down this left flank for Bohemians. That was a nervy moment for Bohemians defensively, but they survived. Kasper Radkowski. Kirk. Got some time and space, and he rolls it into the centre circle, where it's picked up by Dylan Connolly. Shamrock Rovers just dropping off at the moment. Horton. That's a poor ball. Now Jack Byrne. Gaffney is off and running once again. And Novak tidies up, but he was asking a lot of James Talbot. That's really sloppy from a Bohemians perspective. 10 minutes remaining. Putting themselves under a certain amount of pressure there. Kavanagh for Shamrock Rovers. Lopez. Afolabi charging after Roberto Lopez. Two changes imminent for Shamrock Rovers. He's going to bring on Johnny Kenny and also Liam Burt. Burt, a former Bohemians player as well, so Graham Burke is heading off. So Burt is on, and they'll also introduce the pace of Johnny Kenny for the last 10 minutes or so. And Rory Gaffney heads away. He's certainly worked tirelessly, the FAI League of Ireland Player of the Year for 2022.
Yeah, he has, and he made a big impact in the second half. But Johnny Kenny offers something slightly differently. You know, he has that, as you said, he has that pace. Different type of player.
Lopez with the free kick. Liam Burt unable to keep it alive for the hoops. So Stephen Bradley ringing the changes. The Shamrock Rovers strive for what would surely be a winning goal. Or would it? 2-2, very finely balanced at the moment. In the last few minutes at Dalymount Park. Still plenty of time to go. Towell unchallenged. Straight to Buckley. Afolabi with the header over the top, but it runs through to Leon Poles.
Yeah, he was expecting Dylan Connolly maybe to have made a little run and to have anticipated him winning that header and looked to get into the space in behind. As
the Bohs fans start to sing the Old Triangle, one of their many anthems. certainly giving Johnny Logan's Hold Me Now great gusto before kick-off. Here's Lopez.
You were saying that was your favourite song.
Well, you were remarking how big an Aslan fan you are.
Oh,
and
yeah.
obviously, you were very devastated with the news of the sad passing of Christy Dignam. You went to lots of his gigs.
Yeah, and some lovely tributes to him today. A true dub.
Boom. So then can Shamrock Rovers find their second wind again? 2-0 up in the 10th minute of the second half. Having been rocked back by Bohemians. Kirk with the defensive header. Here's Towell feeding it down the line. Show far too much of it to Jordan Flores. Afolabi leading over Dylan Connolly. And Connolly driving through. Connolly with a shot. What a save. Leon Poles take a bow. Brilliant from the Shamrock Rovers goalkeeper. Well, they were looking for perhaps the winning goal, but he may have managed to get them a point here. That is top drawer from Poles.
Huge save and an absolutely brilliant turn from Afolabi to release Dylan Connolly. Exactly what he just said to him moments earlier when the header, make that run, expect me to win it, I'm going to put you in, and he did. And what a save that was. A great strike and a brilliant save.
So Flores to take this latest corner in this absorbing match. Dylan Connolly amongst those inside the area. Declan McDade is there. So too is Grant Horton. It's swung in and it's headed away by Neil Ferrugia. Throw in for Bohemians. Okay, throw in for Bohemians. We'll be getting your player of the match very shortly. So the throw in to be taken by Paddy Kirk. And Neil Doyle just keeping a very close eye as a long throw-in comes from Paddy Kirk, not dealt with really by Shamrock Rovers. But they eventually hook it clear. Richie Towell doing the needful for Shamrock Rovers. Toom. And now Sean Kavanagh feeds it back to Lee Grace. Johnny Kenny spinning away from Christian Novak, but the big pole did his job well there. So less than 5 minutes remaining plus added time. Boom, back to Kavanagh. Bowled over by Grant Horton.
That's a tired foul.
Well, both sides will try to dig in the remaining few minutes here. And find a way perhaps to win the match. Opportunity now for Shamrock Rovers after that decision toward the free kick. Jack Byrne decides to go short, gets the return. Now Jack Byrne. And he was trying to bend it in. Forward by Ferrugia. And the ball will trickle behind. It'll be, in fact, a throw-in to Shamrock Rovers, very close to the corner flag. Just over 3 minutes of the 90 to go, plus the stoppage time. Towel available to receive. Ferrugia. Seems a long time ago since he headed Shamrock Rovers in front. Added to by Marcus Poom, but Bowes fighting back. Afolabi with a cracking goal to make it 2-1, and then James Clark with a very tidy finish. Poom for Kavanagh. Shamrock Rovers pressing forward once again with Jack Byrne. That's clever from Jack Byrne. Still Jack Byrne. Ball will run loose from Richie Towell. Kavanagh to deliver the cross. James Talbot, well again, needed dealing with.
Yeah, I thought it was going over, but he felt it needed a touch. So another corner for Shamrock Rovers.
So Jack Byrne again on dead ball duties. Not too much movement inside the area at the moment, all a bit static, but you'll expect the runs to be made now as Jack Byrne will run up. Away we go. And somebody got on the end of it. Johnny Kenny was trying to guide his header goalwards.
He was well marshalled by Paddy Kirk there, tracked him all the way. Held on to him, kept him nice and close and made sure he couldn't get it, you know, the height into the leap that he would have wanted.
So last few minutes, still time for either side to grab that all-important goal. Plenty of distance from that kick out from James Talbot. Forward by Kirk. Here's McDade and Clark. The ball just ping-ponging around. And Cleary, neat and tidy to pick out Poom. Got to just be behind Johnny Kenny. Need to check his run. Grant Horton striding forward still. Grant Horton. 4 additional minutes we're hearing to be added on. I suppose try to threaten once again. Poom just losing out. There's a rather lazy challenge. Neil Doyle says play on. We're getting Lisa's player of the match very shortly. And it's Bowes on the front foot now with Jordan Flores to have a crack at goal. And it's saved by Leon Bowes. As ever, I am sure, Lisa, plenty of contenders. Who have you gone for?
Definitely. I've gone for Jonathan Afolabi because I think he's just been absolutely central to everything that Bohemians have created. He's involved in every chance they've had, both in the first half and the second half. And, you know, his movement, and he's up against some very, very experienced and highly rated defenders, and he's given them real problems. He's given Roberto Lopez, Dan Cleary and Lee Grace big problems tonight, but his movement and the way he is able to operate in very tight spaces and how he creates is the reason. Neil Farrugia was another contender. I think he's had an immense gain for Shamrock Rovers, not only the goal but also his defensive contributions to the team. But for me tonight, Afolabi is the player of the match.
Well, it was his goal that brought Bowes right back into this match. Great goal. And he might not be finished just yet, as James Clark, who got the second, tried to create an opening. Here's Flores trying to outfox his opposite number, and he was suggesting he got the ball, but referee Neil Doyle has the yellow card out. So a yellow for Jordan Flores in stoppage time at the end of 90 minutes.
Yeah, and look, he knew he got away from him there, and it's a smart foul at this stage in the game. You'll take a yellow card for that foul all day.
Sent forward by Lee Grace. Johnny Kenny gets it under control, rolls it back for Sean Kavanagh. And Shamrock Rovers snatch it here. Ball played into the area and swept away by Declan McDade, who was back defending. Forward by Lee Grace. Sean Kavanagh showed a little too much of it to Dylan Connolly. And Shamrock Rovers perhaps smelling a winner here. Lopez for Towell. On to Farrugia. Faced by Paddy Kirk. 3 Bowes players nearby. Towell inside the area. And Towell trying to create the angle to get a shot away, but not to be. Oh, it's easily given away by Paddy Kirk. Ball runs loose, all a bit frantic in the dying seconds here. Bowes sent it long, but only in the direction of Lee Grace, who's under real pressure from the player of the match, Jonathan Afolabi. He's a real nuisance, isn't he? He just, as a defender, did not get a moment's rest when he's around.
I think he can have no complaints about that one either.
Towell. Cleary. Poom. Jack Byrne was demanding the ball, but instead it's Richie Towell down the line for Farrugia. And it's Farrugia v Kirk once again. Farrugia, and the attempt across, was under real pressure as he made contact with the ball. Well, the referee Neil Doyle has sounded his whistle, and there's going to be a free kick here for Shamrock Rovers in the dying embers of the match. And the lunge by Paddy Kirk results in a free kick for Shamrock Rovers in the 4th minute of added on time. Well, over the years they've made a habit of scoring late, Shamrock Rovers. Can they come up with the goods right now? Jack Byrne. A whole host of players in Shamrock Rovers green and white inside the area. As it's delivered in, Johnny Kenny got something on it. And Bowes have managed to defend that situation temporarily. There were 2 footballs on the pitch. Sent back to Lee Grace initially. Sean Kavanagh delivers it very, very deep. And Declan McDade back defending. Knocks it out of play. It will be a corner kick. Declan Devine was absolutely bellowing at his players to get up, get out. They're penned in at the moment. And once again, a ball has been tossed on, a second ball tossed onto the pitch here. So in the 5th minute of stoppage time, Jack Byrne, can he conjure up something here? So Jack Byrne with a bit of an outswinger towards the back post. Well defended by Bowes, but they haven't got it fully clear just yet. Byrne perhaps to send it back in. Still Jack Byrne as the hoops seek what would be a winning goal, but not to be. It's all square. Yet another very dramatic Dublin derby. Well, it ends all square between Bohemians and Shamrock Rovers. Stephen Bradley side off to a flyer of a start in the second half, with goals from Neil Farrugia and an absolute beauty from Marcus Poom. A credit to Bowes. They looked in deep, deep trouble at that stage, but they fought back to draw, thanks to goals from the player of the match, Jonathan Afolabi, and James Clark off the bench to poach home the equalising goal, 2-2.
Yeah, I think Bowes certainly deserved something out of the game. I think, they created the best chances in the first half. Rovers much more like themselves in the second half, and like a 2-0 up, you just didn't see a way back for Bohemians at that point. But what they did show is consistently with the first half was that the few chances they did create, they got something out of it. And I think on the night a 2-2 draw is probably the fair result.
Great stuff. It has finished in the derby. Bohemians 2, Shamrock Rovers 2. Peter in the panel after the break.
Okay, time to check on all the Premier Division results. Derry City 2, Cork City 0, an important win for Derry City at the Ryan McBride Brandywell. Dundalk have beaten Drogheda United in the Louth Derby, coming out 2-1 winners there. Over Richmond Park it finished St Patrick's Athletic 1, Shelburne 0. And finally, possibly a surprise at the Bowl, UCD have beaten Sligo Rovers 2-1. Let's see what effect it has on the Premier Division table. Well, with Shamrock Rovers just picking up a point here at Dalymount Park this evening, it means the gap to them and Derry City is now down to 4 points. Pats remain in 3rd place after another good win for them this evening. Bohemians remain in 4th, having picked up a point here at Dalymount Park this evening. Okay, well, it turned out to be a cracking evening of football here at Dalymount, and we had 4 super goals in the second half. It started well, Stuart, for Shamrock Rovers at the start of that second half with that Neil Farrugia goal.
Yeah, started really well, just like the first half. Bowes just didn't get going, did they? Just got a little bit static. Put up with a pressure on, good delivery here from Sean Kavanagh. That was Graham Burke, I thought he should have done better. Then when it's recycled again, comes back out to Kavanagh, it's a good delivery into a good area. And Farrugia, for me, just wants this more. Just wants it, it's hungry, gets on the end of it. I think Radkowski, defender, needs to be a little bit more aggressive here, but Farrugia gets a good run on him, throws himself at it. and gets Rovers off to a start that, you know, out of nothing, to be quite honest, because Bohs just didn't really start the half.
Yeah, and things continued to go Shamrock Rovers' way. They were lifted by that goal, and then we had possibly one of the sweetest strikes we're going to see all season. A wonderful individual goal by Marcus Poom.
Yeah, they got off to the dream start. This came 6 minutes after, Peter, and as it drops to Poom on the edge of the box. Absolutely fantastic. Stewie thinks he kicked it into the ground, but I'm not having it.
This
Brilliant
is a mind
strike.
bender for me.
It does float over Talbot, and initially we thought it took a deflection, but it's a brilliant strike, a brilliant goal. He played during the week for his country as well against Belgium. He had a very good game. He's been a good sign and just goes about his business, Peter. But this is an absolutely fantastic strike here. And at that stage, you're thinking Shamrock Rovers, they're in dreamland, 2-0 up. It was going to be a long road back from Bohemians, but they ran that long road, Peter.
They certainly did, and I could read your minds. In fact, I was reading my own as well, because I thought, well, would there be a reaction from Bohemians? And in fairness, Stuart, there was a wonderful reaction from
Bohemians. There was, yeah. I think they were spurred on by the crowd, a little bit flat for a while, but then they started to put pressure on, started to pass around. You have a look at Rovers maybe sitting a little bit deep, and then there's a good little interchange of play. Get a little bit of luck here, but Afolabi on the turn, completely blindsides Leon Poles. Doesn't know always going to strike it. Have a look at this for a strike. You know, it's very hard for the keeper to get to know from his body language where he's going to hit that, because he hits it so early on the turn. And you can't get a better finish than that. Gives Poles absolutely no chance.
Yeah, well, not only did he score a really wonderful goal, but his overall contribution to the game earned him the award of Player of the Match. Here he is, Bohemians midfielder Jonathan Afolabi. He's now with Tony.
Thank you, Peter. Yes, and from SSE Electricity, Russell Keating is here to present Jonathan with his award. Congratulations to you, Jonathan. Well done on the point, but you could have had a hat-trick as well as that goal.
Yeah. Second half we came out and we conceded a goal. Obviously it wasn't a part of our plans, but it was great character to come back and get the 2 goals back. But yeah, we could have won. Yeah.
What will that do for the belief in the side? Because to be 2-0 down against the champions, that's the score that they've beaten you by twice already this season. What brought the comeback?
Yeah, we've always had belief in the team. We've got a good group of lads in there, and the first 2 games even we were disappointed coming back in. So I think we put out a great performance today, and we got what we deserve from it.
Should have won it?
If you look back at the chances, that we created and the way we played, it's the same in when we played in Tala. Should have probably had a couple of goals there as well, but yeah, no, it was a great performance all around there.
And well done to you for man of the match. Well done.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, great performance there by the Bohs striker. Let's look at the fourth and final goal of the evening, Alan. Again, it was another well-worked goal, and a player you were enthused to see come on, and I'm sure Declan Devine was glad he introduced him.
Yeah, I really like this lad, James Clark, Peter, and he's found it difficult to get himself into the team since Declan has come in. But every time he comes on, he makes an impression on me. He makes a big impact on the match with his energy, his drive, and you look at him here driving from midfield. The pass initially is not actually for him, but because he carries on his run, it rebounds to him. He gets the bit of luck, and it's a lovely calm finish. First touch was brilliant with his left foot, opens up his body and just passes it into the corner. And I said he's found it difficult to get game time, to be fair, but he always comes on, always makes an impact, and I think actually he's pushing for a starting place, Peter, and it's no more than Bohemians deserved at that stage. I think overall we obviously praised them for their first half performance with the chances they created. They fell 2 goals behind, but the character they showed to come back into the game, and I felt they deserved the point.
Can't emphasise enough how difficult the skill that is for a midfielder to come at pace, to take it with the left, and you know, next touch a little slot. It's composure, pace. It's you know, a goal you'd see. You would have felt from a more mature player, but technically perfect.
Yeah, it's extraordinary really when it comes to these Dublin derbies, isn't it? The way the teams can lift their performances, because we got to remember Bohemians were on a pretty poor run prior to the international break, and this is exactly the medicine they needed, isn't it?
It never disappoints, this fixture, Peter. I love it. I have to say, over the last 3-4 years, it's been unbelievable. If we could market our league on this fixture alone, honestly, we'd be selling out stadiums everywhere. It's fantastic. Never disappoints. But if you can't get up for this, the atmosphere tonight was absolutely electric. And to be fair, I mentioned the crowd at half time. Even when that first goal went in, the lift it gave them, and they were the ones pushing on for the winner, Bohemians. I was delighted for Afolabi as well, Peter, because if he could only add goals to his game, it's only his 3rd league goal, but he was absolutely outstanding all night.
He was, and I'm sure his manager was very pleased with his performance, in fact with the performance of the entire team. Let's hear from their head coach now. Here's Declan Devine with Tony.
Thanks again, Peter, and they're just saying, Declan, how pleased you must have been with Afolabi, player of the match, but that you came back into that game so strongly.
Yeah, we're really disappointed to be 2 down, Tony. I thought we had a lot of chances in the game. But a mad game because I thought we were very much in the ascendancy. I thought we created a lot of opportunities. John Afolabi, when he plays well, is as good as anything I've ever worked with. He's just so strong and he's such a good player, and his finish is brilliant. He's had a few good chances, not good chances, he's had chances where he's made them for himself. But a real positive coming back from 2-0 down, but really disappointed that we haven't come away with 3 points, because we should be winning that game with the control and the chances that we had. But we'll learn from it, we'll move on. But that's the second time we've come back from 2-0. And it's testimony to the players, because they never give up. They work hard, I keep saying it, they work hard every day. And they have to take joy out of it, because it's really important, I said to you before the game, not to lose this game, because they are our biggest rivals, but they are the benchmark in Irish football, and they go toe-to-toe with them tonight. I'm extremely proud of the players, but disappointed that we found ourselves 2-0 down.
Why though were you in danger of losing that game? Because the first half you probably, on terms of possession and chances, you had that as well, but then to go 2-0 down so quickly. Yeah,
look, it's something we have to learn from. It's 2 poor goals. It's nearly similar to the goals we've given them in the previous 2 games, and we've talked about it all week. So that is a disappointing aspect, but it's important that we send our fans away home happy tonight. You can't afford to lose 3 games on the spin to them as a Bohemians team. So yes, great to get the point, having been 2-0 down with so little time left, but we have to learn from that and make sure we turn that 1 point into 3.
Well, thanks for a cracking atmosphere and a great game. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Yeah, thanks very much indeed to Tony and to Declan Devine. That's certainly a result that Bohemians will take some encouragement from as we head into the second part of the season. But that's all we have time for this evening from Dalymount Park. My thanks to Alan and to Stuart for being with us. And even in the fading light in the capital, nothing will take the shine off another sparkling Dublin derby. From all of us here, good night.